I would like, if all of you chairs, if all of your caucuses are listed at the Democratic Party website, that's fine. If they're not yet, let me know, because I will put them out with an email tomorrow, letting people know, because as you can see, we got people from probably 6 or 8 different communities here, and we like that, because we all work together well and we learn from each other. So I try to share that information. If you ever want me to send something out about information, about something going on in your community or in a community thing, I mean, we do it all the time. Call me and send me an email. Call me to remind me, because I get 300 emails a day. So if you don't tell me to look for an email that you sent me, there's a chance I'll miss it. But if it's something, if you're doing some good organizing, you've got a good event going on in your community that you want us to spread the word on, when I send out my emails, they go out to 190 people. And I can add to them. I got room for another at least 10. And maybe I can even do more if I need to.
Reorganization?
But yeah, so anyway, we should do the reorganization thing?
Yeah.
Okay. This is more for New Bedford, but other people might be doing this in your own communities. We need to reorganize the Democratic City Committee in New Bedford. Every 2 years we do that. The last time we did it was in, I believe, April of 2016. So within the next 2 months or so, and in 14 it was in March 27th or something like that. So within the next 2 months, we need to be setting up a meeting to do a reorganization. I would prefer, and I don't know, and I don't know what the turnout's going to be for the Sunday caucuses, but obviously we want to do it on a night where we think we're going to get a lot of people. Actually, the turnout tonight is wonderful, and I want to thank all of you for coming out. But we need to make sure we have a good turnout, and people should think about whether or not you want to run for. I mean, all of the jobs are going to be up. I mean, the offices in the city committee, the chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, treasurer, sergeant at arms. Did I miss any?
Affirmative action officer.
Affirmative action officer, thank you. And also in the wards. We're going to reelect ward chair people or have a reelection. But I mean, and you may elect the same people, and that's fine. But you may, if somebody thinks they can do a better job, don't be afraid to run. But if you run for a job, please take it. Just like, for instance, when I was talking about what I always say at my caucuses, if you're just running to be a delegate, but you have no plans at all to go to your caucuses, please don't run, because you may be preventing somebody that would really want to go and be a fireball from being able to go. So don't run if you're not going to go. I mean, and believe me, we've had several people in this town who've run for years and virtually never go. So, and it really pisses me off.
So whether it's reorg or whether it's caucus, we have lots of seats that we have ran vacant, right? And so everybody should be calling anybody that they think, knocking on their doors, sending them emails, texts, I don't care. Do what you got to do to actually ask somebody to come to these caucuses and to the reorg, okay?
And particularly, I mean, we've been working with a lot of good people at all of these different events we're going to, like the Women's March,
Right.
all of these events that we've been sponsoring. We're meeting some real good people, and we want to get them involved.
So are you proposing another day, or are you just talking about the fact that we got to get it done?
Well, I think we need to, it would be good if we could set a date. Maybe what I should do is just do what I always do and send out, these are the 3 dates we think might be. I mean, by a show of hands, how does Sunday afternoon strike people? I mean, because I mean, a lot of times, you go to work, you get home at 6 o'clock, 7, like Bob has trouble because he works late often in Rhode Island.
People prefer a Tuesday night or a Sunday afternoon?
All right, so maybe we'll do the reorganization on a Sunday afternoon. We could probably do that here, right?
Yes.
Because we'd have enough room, because we have to have 6 separate wards.
All right.
But this is for the New Bedford people, obviously. But for you other people, I don't know when you last organized in your towns, but you may need to be doing a reorganization. And if you got somebody that's really not doing anything, but they should be, well, maybe it's time they move out. But that's up to you. And in here, I mean, if people don't like what I'm doing, hey, I'm running too. And if people don't like the way I'm doing it, somebody will take my place.
Who else is gonna bake all that good stuff?
Well, I know Rosemary Tierney once said to me when I first took over in 2011, Richard, if you want people to show up at meetings, you've got to bring food. Right. So And I want to give my wife credit because all of the food that I brought tonight was all baked by my wife. Usually I bake the cookies. All of that was baked by my wife, and I told her, honey, I'm taking all of the sweet stuff out of the house because otherwise I'm not going to lose the 15 pounds I now need to lose that I just put on because I'm, haven't been working for the last 2 months.
All the food I brought was made by Stop and Shop union workers, just so that you know. So I have one more point. Our meeting schedule for the year is posted on the Facebook page. We'll get it into Richard's hands so he can actually email it out. Here's the problem. It is traditionally on the first Tuesday of the month. So let's talk about Attleboro, right? How many people know that our state rep in Attleboro ran for mayor and won? So we now have a special election in Attleboro, and we talked about this right after when Trump got elected, right? The one thing we learned is that we have to do our job locally, right? And so that means we got to get into Attleboro and make sure that that seat stays Democratic. And the primary for that race is on our March meeting date, the first Tuesday of the month.
Oh, okay.
And the general election for that race is on the first Tuesday in April.
So we may have to move
Now,
some dates
with
around.
that said, we've had all 3 Democratic candidates for the governor's race. We've had one of the 2 for the lieutenant governor. I spoke to Jimmy Tingle today. He is prepared to come, pretty much like he wants to be here. So we got to set a date. My recommendation is that we skip March or go to the second Tuesday of the month, and then the same thing for April. We can either just meet in April, or we can move to the second Tuesday of the month for those 2 months.
Well, let me throw something in the wind here. Second Tuesdays are always bad for me because of my union meetings of that night. And I hate to miss my union meetings. I'd have to miss the last 2 because of my situation with my knee, as well as my brother passing away. So I would hate to miss another meeting. I have a convention in Detroit in July coming up. So I would prefer not going to the second Tuesday. If that's the date people really want, fine. But I mean, is the third Tuesday of the month bad for people? I mean, for union meetings or whatever? Because I would say go to the third Tuesday instead of the second, and that way I'll be able to be here.
So we will follow up with an email on that. I just want you to be aware. I want you to be aware that we're going to be sending you emails
Right.
about Attleboro and the need to get bodies over there and on the doors, right, and helping win that race.
Okay. And I'm going to, so we'll be sending that out and let you know what the schedule is going to be. The other thing I just want to touch on really briefly about the caucuses is the need, as Lisa so well put out a few seconds ago, the need for us to get people involved, particularly people that we know are going to be active, people that we know want to be involved and want to help out. And one of the things that we got to keep in mind is this year is a nominating year, not convention. So it's a little different. In other convention years, when it's just a issues convention, it's usually pretty easy to get elected as a delegate. But in nominating years, all of these various candidates that are running have people that from this community and from all communities all over the state who they're trying to get, hey, why don't you run for a delegate? You can be one of my delegates, as Bob Massey just said earlier. Maybe you can be one of my delegates. Well, that's being done with all of these candidates. So what happens is a lot more people are going to be at your caucuses, generally speaking, than normal. And what I always tell people is this: in a case where, and this happened to one of our guys, it happened to, what's his name? The guy, the school committee kid, the young man.
Yeah.
Josh Amaral, a few years ago, I think we had recommended, because he couldn't make it as a delegate, that he run as an add-on, because he was a youth. He would have been better to run as an alternate. Because we had people that had run for the office and didn't show up. So we're going to have to make sure that our ward committee chair people, and for you townies, it's the same deal, and me, because I tell people in my emails, don't just tell your ward committee person, call me and let me know so I can make sure I get in touch with him or her to make sure we can help these people. The other thing is that in instances where people, and Suzanne, I think this happened to you a few years ago or last year, where people have a business trip, they're going to be away, they're not going to be able to make it. We want a written request to be considered as a delegate, and that way, if, and the rules of the Democratic Party are,
That changed this year.
Can't do that this year.
you can't even do that this year?
Only active military.
Because what we've done, what I was told last year was, as long as that person would not be taking the place of somebody that is actually in the room running.
Last year that was correct, this year it's not.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, all right. Well then, run as an alternate and you know, as an add-on. Like you run as an add-on though, right? If they're in the category. Gus, they can run as an add-on if they're in the category though, right?
Correct.
If they're in one of the 4 categories.
So I just want to say for for our other cities,
Other towns and
our
cities,
other
yeah.
towns and cities, we're going to be hosting a bus to the convention again. So we've got a lot more participation this year. My guess is the bus is going to fill up faster than usual. So you should get it out to your committees and get us back information if there's interest. Because if we need to figure out alternative carpooling and that kind of stuff, we can do that.
And there's a fee for that one, right?
Yeah.
Is that the $25?
Yeah, just so you know, it's a $25 fee, but it's a sliding scale. I mean, if somebody doesn't have $25, we're not gonna stop, just like the Democratic Party doesn't stop them from going to the convention. We're not gonna stop them from going.
When and where what?
Where's the convention?
The convention is in Worcester at the DCU on June 1st and 2nd. Naturally, we're only going on the second day, because we bus people up there and then bus them back. So we'll be going on June 2nd. I know you often go on the first day of the convention, but separately. But it'll be June 2nd, and it's a great trip. We get the reliable bus usually takes us up there, which is a minority-owned firm, and we have a wonderful time. And believe me, you eat well. Nobody goes hungry on our buses.
Guys, can you just speak to the handicap issue? I know you. I'm not forgetting you, but that was the person that's an interest to here is not here to raise that
Sure.
issue, and that was a question. So if you could just enlighten me on that issue.
So we continue to deal with it. Worcester, it is a grandfather facility, so, I mean, it is acceptable. But there are definitely areas where we need to work, basically, anyone that's in a wheelchair or any assistance, we need to know. We give them a personal handler, and they get them to the floor, they drop their way. There are elevators. They have access, but it's an older facility, so compared to some of the newer facilities, not every seating has an actual place so that a person in a wheelchair can sit. So you're either at the mezzanine level or you're on the floor. We try to sit everyone on the floor, but with a nominating year, that's impossible.
So that's good to know. I'm going to echo what Gus said earlier. You are the leadership of this party, okay? So if you know somebody who's handicapped or know somebody who's handicapped that has these issues and has these concerns, it is your responsibility to communicate what you just heard. All right? We'll get it posted on the Facebook page. We'll get Richard to email it out.
More?
But you need to talk about it, and you need to repeat it because it is an issue for people, and you know it's something we're going to have to keep dealing with.
I just wanted to suggest that Richard send a clarification about you have to be in attendance, because I know that your last email that went out, there are a lot of people who aren't here tonight who got it and might think, oh, I can, you know, just let my.
Oh, right. You mean
So,
on the ruling we just got from
Yeah.
Gus? Yeah,
Make sure
I will.
it's a-
Yeah.
For New Bedford, I can tell you the majority of the people that we had doing that was because they worked on Saturdays and couldn't be there, and we specifically moved it to Sunday to accommodate those people.
Right.
Yep.
Christine?
Is the definition of handicap essentially anyone who can qualify for one of the placards for a car, or?
Well,
If they tell us we need help, we're gonna get it.
But isn't there a preference for, isn't there additional delegates for people who are?
Yes.
Right.
yes.
But even if they don't apply for handicap, if we, you know, I know we have people who have different situations. They may have a good day today and a bad day that day, right? It's the travel, it's the weather. If we have folks that need help, right, we're gonna do everything within our power to make sure that we get that help for people. We don't want people having a bad experience at our convention. That's what it comes down to, right? So whether it's our union meeting, or whether it's the Democratic City Committee, or whether it's the convention, we need to do together what we can do to make this a more pleasant experience for the people that we're bringing up there, that we're encouraging to run and be there.
Okay, and for the caucuses, for ward, the chairpersons in the various wards, I'm gonna ask that you make sure you read the information that's on the website about the caucuses, so you know. I'm gonna have, for every table, I'll have this list of how many delegates there are for each ward. I've, taken this off the website and I retrofitted it to make it easier for us to read, so you guys can see what it looks like. But, anyway, what was I saying?
Be there by 12:30.
Oh, be there by 12:30. We do not wanna have a situation like last year where I kinda like bent the rule a little to let somebody in because they got there after, I don't know what time we started, let's say after 9:30. They're supposed to be there by 1:15 at the very latest, 1:15. We want you there by 12:30, between 12:30 and 12:45, because we have to check you all in. We have to check your voter status in the city of New Bedford. We have to, in some instances, people are gonna have to be registered themselves right there, so that's gonna take time. You have to go to your ward table. You have to register in your ward table. Oh, and that's the other thing. The Democratic Party is doing a lot more, and I noticed a lot more. They want to know, and part of it is really good reason, because they want to know who's coming. So, for instance, if you're a minority and you don't put that you're a minority, we don't know. If you're, we want to know if somebody's handicapped, because they take all of this into consideration when they're looking at, okay, what do we need for add-ons? Because they want to try to make an equal representation. So fill that out. Take the time to fill that out. And perhaps it's my fault that I didn't kind of beat that into my ward chair people. But, well, no, I didn't. No, because every year, when I take the things and type them up and send them in, it's like, I know this person's a minority, but it wasn't put. And somebody dropped the ball somewhere. So try to make sure, the ward chair people are gonna make all of this stuff clear. So that's why I want the ward chair people to make sure you read through the document so you know it. I'm gonna skim through it. We're gonna have a lot of stuff to cover because we're gonna have probably a lot of candidates are gonna speak for a while. Within an hour, we have to start the voting. So that means we have to review the rules and start the voting. And Gus, before you leave, I'd like to get a little guidance from you, not necessarily right now, but about, it says to talk about affirmative action and what it means and what we're gonna do. I think as somebody who's been a chairperson for like 7 years now, I've always said, why don't we just come up with a little statement? So this is what we read, kind of like your statement that we have to read it so that we know. Because otherwise we fumble around and it takes more time than we need to, when we can just say it and.
Because when we write things like that, because there is one in the charter, 3 pages long, so.
That's not the one I want.
Okay.
I want the Cliff Notes.
How many people attended the platform hearings? It's really, really tough.
I know. Thank you all for coming and spending time with us.